If you've ever sent out your beautiful children's book without signing it, then I encourage you to never do so again. Hi there, I'm Eevi, an award-winning children's author and ghostwriter over on eevijones.com and the creator of Children's Book University. I create videos specifically for children's authors, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. In this video, we'll look at why we should always sign our children's book and write a personal message whenever we give or send our book to someone. And we'll look at lots and lots of fun and creative personal message examples and ideas to inspire us to come up with our own list of go-to staples we can use whenever we're sending out our own book. So let's jump right in. First things first, most books have what is called a dedication, like Aaron Blaby's book, Pick the Puck book right here. It's part of the book, so it's the same in every book. That is not what this video is about. So if you need any help or inspiration for your beautiful dedication page, especially if you want it to be memorable and perhaps even help you marketing wise, I have a whole separate video on just that. So I made sure to share the link in the description below. Today's video is all about the personalized note and signature authors usually write into their book when they are at book signings, or if they are gifting their book, or if they are sending it to someone. My previous video on book plates goes hand in hand with this video right here, because that's where I shared what we can do visually when we are signing our book. So I went ahead and shared that video in the description below as well. But today is all about what to say in our handwritten personalized message. If you're like me, you too may have been wondering whether or not you should be signing your book before giving or sending it to someone. After all, who are we to assume others want us to scribble in their copy of our book, right? Especially in the beginning, I felt quite pretentious whenever I signed my book because I always thought only famous authors should get to do so. And I know that so many fellow authors feel this way because I get so many beautiful children's books from my Children's Book University students, my clients, and my readers. And so many of them, in fact, the majority of them are not signed. And seeing this always makes me so sad because I know that the author who was so sweet and kind to send their beautiful book my way had this inner dialogue of whether or not they should sign their book and decided against it because they didn't feel worthy. So let me tell you right now, you are worthy to sign your beautiful book. You absolutely are. So from this day forward, whenever we are sharing a copy of our book, we are going to sign it without an exception, period. Because believe me, receiving a book directly from the author of that book will always be special. And adding our special personalized touch only enhances this beautiful gesture. I love seeing special notes in the books that are sent my way, and so does everyone else that receives your book, I promise. So now that we have established that we will from now on always personalize our beautiful book by adding our signature in a special note, let's look at some examples so we can begin putting together our own list of just 2 to 3 of those short go-to messages we can handwrite in our book whenever we are signing it. When choosing our message, it's always really helpful to look at and consider 3 things. 1, who's the recipient? 2, what is our book about? And 3, what is the signing occasion? So let's look at each of these individually. Why might knowing the recipient help us come up with the perfect message? Most recipients fall into one of 4 categories. Kids whom the book is meant to be gifted to, family members, friends, and others we already know, new buyers we just met during book signing events, and reviewers or influencers we send our book out to. Knowing whom our book is for can be really helpful for 2 main reasons. 1, if we know the recipient's actual name, we can make our little note extra special by personally addressing them by name. Here, for example, are 2 books that were signed by addressing me or my boys as the recipients. And 2, if we know whom the book is for, it'll make choosing the best wording for our note much easier. This signed note, for example, is by New York Times bestselling author Nick Sansbury-Smith in one of his books that he sent my way. And because he knew exactly whom this note was for, he was able to truly personalize his message so it pertains specifically to me. And knowing our recipient will help us choose the tone our note should be in. For example, knowing our book is for little ones, we may want to choose to write in the voice of our book's main character. We could choose to write something silly, or we could write something encouraging. Just like in Lauren Arisman's beautiful book, The Treehouse Trio, where she encouraged my boys, try, fail, learn, grow, repeat. Just don't give up. On the other hand, if we know our book is for a family member or a friend, we may want to choose to write a message that thanks them for supporting us. And Margaret Manley's signed note is a wonderful example here, where she wrote such a sweet message in her precious book, Jenny's Bubble, a sticky tale about not giving up, where she is thanking me for believing in her. And if we know our recipient is an influencer or reviewer or someone we may not personally know, we may want to stay more professional and on brand with the wording of our message. Here, Gretchen Rubin's signed message is a great example, where she simply addresses the recipient, followed by a short onward, which is very much her signature thing to say that she also often uses in her emails or on other social media. Now, when it comes to reaching out to influencers, my biggest ninja tip is that we may not want to add their name to the book itself, because oftentimes, depending on the influencer, our book may come back as undeliverable, especially if we send it out unsolicited. So by not using that person's name directly in our book, we can reuse it and send it out to someone else. That being said, personalizing our outreach is still very important. But instead of adding that personalized message directly into our book, we can do so by adding a personalized letter or card to our book, like I did right here. If you have any questions regarding how to choose the right influencer to send our book to and how to reach out to influencers, I went ahead and added the link to my influencer outreach in the description below. Now that we know why knowing who our book is for might be helpful in the drafting of our message, let's look at why considering our book's theme or topic might help us come up with the perfect note. A question I've been asked quite often is what we could or should say in our little note. When drafting our message we can use over and over again, I always find it really helpful if it somehow ties into the message or theme of our beautiful book. What do I mean? Lauren Erisman's book, The Treehouse Trio, I mentioned earlier, is a wonderful example here. Her book is meant to inspire young girls to follow their dreams, supporting one another, and to get back up and try again whenever they fail. So her note, try, fail, learn, grow, repeat, just don't give up, sums it up beautifully and succinctly and makes this the perfect little snippet to sign her books with. Another example that ties in the theme of the book so beautifully is Nicole McDonald's book, Dashes Week, that is all about helping others by just being ourselves. So her little note, just be you, works so very well here. And this right here is one of my absolute favorite examples of how we as authors can tie our book's message into our little note. That's the happiness researcher Sean Akers' book, Ripple's Effect, that is all about teaching little readers about the power of a smile and that we can each make the world a better place by who we choose to be. So signing his book with happiness as a choice is absolutely perfect here. So how can we tie our note to our book's message or theme? Here it might be helpful to ask ourselves questions like, what is the one thing that we want little ones to take away when reading our book? Is there perhaps a phrase that is repeated over and over again in our story? Is there something especially funny or catchy our main characters keep saying? Is there a special message within our story that we want to emphasize and highlight? These are all questions that can guide us in discovering our signature phrase. In my book, The Magic Choice, My Power Within, I love to sign it with, remember, you always have the power to choose, because that's what the book is all about. Or whenever I'm sending out my book, Letting Go for the soon-to-be empty nester, I like to sign it with, what a magnificent human you have raised. Again, very topic specific. Or when I'm signing my book, The Girl That Makes Mistakes, Growing Confidence One Day at a Time, I like adding the words, may you always remember that you're the hero of your own life. Because again, that's what this book is all about. When it comes to tying in our story, here's my favorite ninja tip, and that's to add some visual elements. For example, if our story is about our own dog or cat, how fun would it be to mention them in our note along with their signature, a cute little paw print. Wendy Vanderpool's note here in her book, The Adventures of Miss Addie Pants, The Rescue, is such a cute example where she added her dog's name Addie and a little paw print. So if our story is, for example, about a little dinosaur's bedtime, perhaps we could draw a very simplified doodle version of it with the phrase sweet dreams. Or if our story is an encouraging one, we could add a few stars and add the phrase reach for the stars. Or if our book is about a cookie or just food or eating in general, we could add a little bite mark toward the edge of the page, along with the words, happy munching. The sky's our limit here. Or if our book has a fun title, perhaps we can incorporate it into our note, like Laura Belgrade did here with her memoir's title. This is not a children's book, but such a fun opportunity to make her book title that is meant to stand for something be part of her signed note. Now, how can considering the signing occasion help us draft the perfect note? Again, if we gift our book to friends or family, or if it is meant to thank someone and express our gratitude, then our message might be quite long and very personal, and therefore different from person to person. If, on the other hand, we want to draft a message we can use during book signings, then we may want to keep it rather short, so we can sign our book more quickly. And that's when we might want just a few different but succinct options on hand. Again, Gretchen Rubin's Onward is such a great choice here because it's something she says all the time. And this is the added bonus of being really short, so it's perfect for book signing, where things usually move quickly. Another favorite ninja tip of mine is to simply ask the person that wants us to sign our book to see if they are buying our book for a special occasion. If, for example, they are buying it as a birthday gift, we can make our note birthday specific by writing something like "the happiest of birthdays" and then add the name. Or "to name, the luckiest birthday kid." Or "happy 7th birthday," followed by the name. But if all else fails, I wanted to make sure to leave you with just a few more alternatives we can pick and choose from in case you can't come up with any of your own. I've made sure to add more in my children's author marketing toolkit, so if you would like to access those examples as well, I went ahead and shared the link to it in the description below. So 4 of my very simple and more general fallbacks are happy reading, or enjoy the book, or if our character has a name, enjoy Sally O'Neill's little adventure. Or, I hope you love this book as much as I loved writing it. Again, I have a lot more examples in my author marketing toolkit, and I shared the link to it below. It's free, so I really hope it helps you get your creative juices flowing. Signing our book and adding a little personalized message to it is such a wonderful opportunity to connect with our readers, make it extra special to the recipient of our book, and perhaps even have our personality shine through, sharing what we are all about and what our book is all about. When it comes to figuring out what to say whenever we are leaving our autograph, we as children's authors have so many beautiful options. So before sending out a copy of your beautiful book, make sure to sign it, adding a note that represents you and your book succinctly and beautifully, because you and your book are absolutely worth it. Let me know your favorite signature line in the comments below. I love hearing from you and connecting with you there. And please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet. It really encourages me to keep making free videos for you just like this one. Here's to always signing our book. Bye!